Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens, brown paper packages tied up with strings. These are a few of my favorite things.
Welcome back to Blood and Black Rum Podcast's Festivus Series. This year, we're taking on all new Christmas movies, including Netflix's Hot Frosty, Christmas with the Cranks, Don't Open Till Christmas, and possibly a couple other holiday favorites. We hope you have a great holiday season, spending it with us.
Phoenix, Lake Tahoe, Albuquerque. Did I mention Cleveland? Mistake by...
Hey guys, welcome back to the Blood and Black Rum Podcast. I'm Ryan from Cultsploitation.com, and I'm joined with my co-host, Martin.
How's it going?
Pretty good, and doing better than last time. Kind of kicked my cold, got rid of it, so hopefully I sound a little bit better on the show today. I won't have to be chewing on a cough drop either, so.
You're more baritone.
That's right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because I lost my voice there for a little bit too, so a little bit lower than I normally am, but yeah, so everything's going good. Having a good holiday season besides the sickness so far. You know, have you been listening to our to the John Saxon Yule log?
Of course.
Yeah.
I've had it up at work already.
Perfect. If everybody doesn't know.
It had been passing it around to people that I know. Being like,
excellent.
Hey.
Yeah. It kind of went unseen. So like not a lot of people appreciated it. So I'm glad that, you know, in its second year, it's getting a little bit more recognition. I'm on the search too to be able to make another one too. The goal is to find the credit with the fireplace, with the actual log, and that's difficult. You know, it's difficult to find one that John Saxon just serendipitously linked up there. So it just happened to work out that way. But yeah, if you haven't checked it out, you can go to the cultsploitation.com YouTube page, and we have the John Saxon Yule log on there. So,
or you can just type in John Saxon Yule log.
It should be the only thing that comes up, right? Yeah, it should be your main link. So yeah, check it out.
It's got some wonderful
warming Christmas tunes, right?
You know, nice free to use, you know, open
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Open source music, you know.
That's what it was, yep. All right, so we're into our Festivus series so far. Last week we did Hot Frosty with Lacey Chabert, continuation of our Chabert and Gifts series. And this week we're going to change things up quite a bit. Hot Frosty is, you know, kind of a nice warming tale of you know, two good-looking people finding love with each other. It's, you know, nice like little heartwarming and a movie that you can just watch, put on, and not like worry too much about or think about. But this movie that we're going to talk about is a lot more grimy, a lot more grindhousey. It's a lot different because we're talking about a horror movie this time. We wanted to switch it up a little bit because we have done a number of Christmas horror movies in the past. We've done Christmas Evil. We did all the Silent Night, Deadly Nights, like literally all of them.
They're going to say, like, we did Silent Night, Deadly Night. We did Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2.
Yeah.
we did Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Literally every single one of them. We have done Black Christmas and...
Better Watch Out.
Better Watch Out. So we've done a number of the horror films of... I mean, there's tons more that we could do because we haven't even touched the really bad ones. The really low budget ones, like the Krampus knockoffs. There's tons, but we've done a lot of them. And so, but there's one that we didn't touch on from the 80s that was another big Santa style Christmas slasher from the 80s. So I thought it was about high time that we did it. And not only that, last year I bought the Blu-ray and I bought it during like a summer sale or something like that. And it's not really a time where I wanted to whip out this movie and like watch it during the summer. So I put it off and I saved it and I said, you know what, the next during Christmas time, I'll take it out and I'll watch it. So it was finally time to take out this Blu-ray that I bought 6 months ago and watch it. So the movie that we're talking about today is Don't Open Till Christmas. And don't get that wrong. It's not Don't Open Until Christmas. It's the nice slangy Till Christmas. And till, not only that, is till as in like it's not even abbreviated, like, it's TILL, so whatever. But this movie is from 1984, and it did hit in sort of the heyday of those other Santa killing slasher movies like Silent Night, Deadly Night, Christmas Evil. Now, you haven't seen Don't Open Till Christmas at all, right?
Why would I?
So
I didn't even know it existed.
Didn't cross your... No. I've seen it, and I saw it a long, long time ago in college. I downloaded it, I remember, because I was like, ooh, all these horror Christmas movies I've never taken. This was in the same period of time where I watched like Silent Night, Deadly Night, Christmas Evil, Don't Open Till Christmas. I did them all like in the same time period. So I definitely remember downloading this movie. Then I saw it again, I think maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I was wrapping Christmas presents. Actually, it was longer than that now. And I was watching it, but I had it on, but I didn't really watch it too well. So it's actually been a while since I've seen this movie, and I didn't really remember too much of it. I don't actually remember a lot of pieces to this movie, which we'll talk about, but it is one that I think it was an important part of, like, that, again, the Santa killings, because I think in this one, we kind of get the opposite of what we have in some of those other Christmas horror movies, where it's a Santa Claus, the guy wearing a Santa Claus costume who is doing the killing. In this one, it's the opposite. It's a guy who's going around killing Santa Clauses. So a little bit of a different, a change up there for Christmas horror movies. Anything you want to add about the movie before we, break out of the introduction here?
No, you hit the nail.
I guess, and the other thing too is this one takes place in London too, so that's another big change up from some of these other ones. This is.
So it should be Happy Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll talk about kind of the
Santa's in Lapland.
we'll talk about some of the cultural differences of this movie too, in comparison to some of the other Christmas horror movies that we, from the 80s.
That's for the Christmas.
Very good, very good. We gotta play like Father Christmas, give us some money. That's gonna be our intro.
Ooh, that'd be good. I love the Kinks.
Me too. Love that song.
It's a great Christmas song.
It's a great Christmas song. Okay. All right. So, what do we have on the show today for beer? What'd you grab us?
I grabbed us a week ago as I was mulling about our local beverage center. I was mulling about, looking around, not seeing anything new that struck my eye. Because the offering, while good, it's a slow trickle these days on like new and exciting beers to get. So one of the ones that I stumbled across while I was there was from a brewery that I've never heard of before, and a beer that we usually don't do that often on the podcast because they're not really like that prominent these days in the craft beer world. And what I grabbed was Deschutes, which is based out of Oregon, Bend, Oregon, and I grabbed their Black Butte Porter. We've done a couple of porters on here, not that many, because it's a style that definitely has kind of fallen to the wayside for craft beer. And you can kind of see why when you have one. Because, they're good. But, it's not what the drinkers want these days. The stouts, they want cranked up to 11, and they want, their IPAs cranked up to 11. So something, just fine and, robust isn't enough. But I got their porter because, like I said, I was looking for something different. I haven't had porter in God knows how long. I think the last one I had was like a Yuengling's Hershey chocolate porter. So, figured why not. And on the can, it's, says it's, the best porter in all of America.
Right. It says it started in, and I think Deschutes, their beer business kind of started with this porter, which is in itself interesting. Like, who starts off with a porter? They're like, you know what? This is going to be our flagship, the porter.
Well, in 1988 for a craft brewery, that would make sense. So that is, a noble thing that they, did. So, like I said, I appreciate that because it's a style that is often overlooked in not just craft beer, but beer in general.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the great question we ask every time we're on, have a porter on the podcast is, Ryan, what's the difference between a porter and a stout?
There's not too much difference. They are basically very similar. I think it's just the types of malt that is used in it.
Porters have malted barley and stouts have unmalted, but roasted barley.
It's the only main difference there. The taste-wise, they're very similar. Functionally, very similar. You could, if you gave someone a stout and you want to pull a little fast one on them, a little gag, and you said, "Hey, this is a porter," and they said, "Oh, this is a pretty good porter," and you're like, "No, it's a stout." Like, no one would know the difference. But it would be a fun gag.
Yeah.
Like, how? And somebody would be like, "How fucking dare you? How fucking dare you?"
It's like them with the new Coke versus like Coke, regular Coke. Like, oh,
yeah,
you got me.
I mean, there's probably a way to tell, right? Like malted versus roasted. There's probably a good way to tell. I probably am not sophisticated enough to tell you.
Porters are generally more chocolatey, and stouts are more coffee. It's
But they're kind of interchangeable with that.
Yeah. But I mean, stouts can also be, very, chocolating and porter's coffee. So, again. So, with that being said, with this being proclaimed the best porter in all of America, I have to say, pretty damn good. I like it a lot. Best porter in America, I don't know about that. Just because I haven't had, a great deal of them. But it's a damn good porter. It is very easy to drink. Very chocolatey. You get a nice, very nice, dark chocolatiness to it. It's very smooth. A little bit of bread. It's just a really good, well-rounded drink. I like it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's 5.5%. So,
yeah, I mean, I would agree as well. I don't know if I can't say what is the best porter in America, because again, like you said, I haven't had that many. Generally, porters to me, they do tend to really taste very similar. It's kind of hard to I mean, I feel like you'd know if you messed up a porter. You'd be like,
oh
yeah. I feel like there would be just indicators that you've messed up this porter, because they do have a pretty they're pretty distinctive in how they taste, and if you've got a porter, a good porter or not. So is this really good? Very nice. I would say what I like about it a lot is that it's very smooth, while also being fairly light-bodied. I feel like this is kind of what Guinness wants to be for a stout, in that it wants to be light-bodied, but also hearty and flavorful. And where Guinness misses out is on that flavorful element to it. It ends up being thin and sort of watery in the flavor department. Whereas this porter, it does a really good job of doing both of those things. Nicely light-bodied, not too thin, so you still get a nice creaminess to it, without even needing a widget. You don't need a widget, nitro widget or anything for this one. It's just nice overall bodied, and then also very nicely flavored as well. You're getting a lot of that chocolatey, bready malt flavor to it. I think they did a really good job with that. And I guess again, where you would say Deschutes has really did a good job with this is in not changing the recipe, just leaving it. You've had it since, for 30 something years. Leave it the way it is. People like it, so don't change it up. So I like that a lot. I would definitely get this again as a nice little porter for a cool winter night. I like it.
Hits the spot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And again, you can have a couple of them too. This isn't one that's a one and done because it's too thick and,
like the gingerbread stout.
Exactly. Yeah. That one was a one and done and also gave me bad heartburn. So But I mean, I'm not saying that it wasn't good. But regardless, it was good. It gave me extreme heartburn though, and that's probably my own problem. But
yeah, don't be blaming the beer like me with like garlic parm wings. Okay, it's
Right.
not the garlic parm fault. It's my.
that's right. It's your own intestines.
My weak indigestion and intestinal fortitude.
That's right.
Gotta step it up.
That's right. All right. Let's talk about Don't Open Till Christmas.
Should we say it, don't open till Christmas, or should like don't open till Christmas? Like
Don't open, but don't open till Christmas. What do you think about?
Have you ever had a Christmas present underneath the tree that like somebody put on it? Don't open till Christmas.
I feel like as a present under the tree, it is implied. Please, it's more kindly, I think, but it's like implied. Please don't open this until Christmas. It's under the Christmas tree. This is meant for Christmas Day. So I feel like the act of putting a present under the tree is like the implication. So you don't need the tag on it that says don't open till Christmas. I guess if it ends up like in this movie where you'll know if you opened it before Christmas, which we'll talk about when we get there, then you do need a tag on it, I guess. But yeah, in general situations, I don't think you need the tag. And no, I don't think I've ever had a present like that where it literally said don't open till Christmas.
That's Santa's test of not who's good and who's bad.
Exactly. Yeah.
You open before Christmas, you're getting fucking cold.
Yeah, it's magically turned into coal. Yeah, no, I like I said, I think it's implied. Now, if you I don't know when there would be a situation where you're like, no, I intended you to open this Christmas present before Christmas. I guess in that perspective, instead of putting a don't open till Christmas tag on it, which is implied, you'd have to put on a tag that said, please open before Christmas. There should be a disclaimer that you have to open it before Christmas because like your Christmas gift is a cruise and the cruise leaves on Christmas, like in Christmas with the Cranks. Then yes, you would need to open your tickets prior to Christmas so that you could be ready for your Christmas Day cruise. So that in that situation, you'd need a disclaimer. But people don't generally give people cruises as gifts, so. All right, so
what a bourgeois thing to do.
Right, exactly. Not only that, but it's expecting a lot out of people. They're like, I got you a cruise. What do you want me to do? You think I just took the time off from work already? Like, you gave me a chore. Now I have errands to run to get prepared for this cruise that you put
I would be so pissed off if somebody got me a cruise and it's like, thanks. you didn't like obviously don't know me as a human being, like, because then you would know, like, I have social anxiety. I don't want to,
I would,
put me out at sea with like thousands of people that I don't know. Shit like that. Oh, that's like something an enemy.
And not only that, but on the first day, there's a ship-wide icebreaker. Have fun. A little get to know you. Yeah.
That bar's not free either. It wasn't in the package.
No.
So I'm just spending money left and right. Like, I gotta get loaded.
Get the all you can drink.
to be able to socialize.
All right, so don't open till Christmas. Like we said in the intro, this movie is a little bit different in terms of how it presents the Christmas killings, right? Because back in the day, like there was a proliferation for whatever reason of Christmas flavored movies, horror movies, where there was murders happening. And I think part of it was the tabooness of, movies like Silent Night, Deadly Night releasing and Christians jumping on their high horse and be like, I can't believe you're doing that to Santa.
Aren't they doing that now, apparently, with that movie where the kids accidentally...
Dear Satan, or Dear Santa, or whatever that's called, where he sends it to Satan. Yes, they are doing the same thing. We haven't really come much further. But yeah, I mean, at the time, it was like Silent Night, Deadly Night was a big one, where people were like, I can't believe they've marred Santa Claus's name by saying that he might come out and murder people on Christmas Eve. That was a huge thing back in the day, and Don't Open Till Christmas is kind of the opposite of that, where it...
I was going to say, which is hilarious, because Christmas, all the shit that we do for Christmas itself is pagan.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It
God's not a fan of you going around, with a fucking pine tree in your house going like, oh, Tenen, Mom, oh, Tenen, parading around the maypole with your, baubles and shit. That's, That's blasphemous.
Yeah, but Christ's in the name.
Well, he wasn't even born then.
But yeah, this movie is the opposite of that, and then it presents this Santa killing slasher man who's running around the streets of London during Christmas season. And basically just like, if he sees a Santa Claus out on the street that's dressed up as a Santa, well, stabbed or murdered or whatever he's got on hand, he's taking out that Santa Claus.
Which, by the way, what a way to start the movie. Some, nice
guy and woman necking in a car.
Yeah, like getting ready to bone. And this guy's,
being a peeping Tom.
Just, as they call it in Britain, they're dogging, he's gonna...
Yes. Yeah.
The
dogging.
Hey. And they're like, hey, you perv. He's like, get away, you perv. And she's like, oh, who cares?
She's just like, whatever,
It's really fun.
I like that too, because like the beginning of the movie kind of sets a different tone, because there's this murder and it's not really that related to the Santa Claus killings, right? And
well, the guy was dressed up as Santa.
He was, and then he takes it off to have sex, and like not only that, but like the panting that the killer's doing because we generally in this movie we're seeing from the killer's point of view or perspective, or if not from the perspective, then at least be from like basically like the waist down. You can only see most of the time like the waist down of the killer, and so this that first scene is just like him,
see him baiting.
Yeah, basically just him being a lurid peep. Just watching this couple. So,
but that whole opening, that part, and then like the title sequence is very Halloween-esque. Like they stole.
Yeah.
They aped John Carpenter real good there. Like, I mean, I know the POV shots, from Psycho, but still, like with Halloween being like right, especially with Halloween 2, and the pumpkin being on fire. Isn't that the one with the pumpkin being on fire for the opening?
Is it? I don't know.
Anyway, like the whole title, the whole title sequence is very Halloween-esque though, because it's got the burning,
right? Yeah, like the set to the black background.
Yeah,
the pump. Yeah, like you would either have the jack-o'-lantern that it's quickly zooming into, or you have like in this one the burning of the Santa Claus figurine. Yes, it's very, very Halloween-esque. In terms of its slasher representation. And I think one thing about Don't Open Till Christmas that does stand out to me is the fact that this movie often seems to not really know what it wants to be at any given time. I do think that this movie had some production issues to it. And I think that the thing about it is that like sometimes it wants to be a more straightforward like mystery detective thriller, and then other times it wants to be this really seedy sort of like slasher movie akin to like Maniac or Pieces, something like that.
And by the way, sorry to cut you off. It is Halloween too, where the pumpkin, the jack-o'-lantern, is like melts from the inside out. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes. So yeah, I was right.
You were right. I think that like this movie, it definitely has the American slasher element to it, and at the same time, it does tend to kind of bring in some of the European giallo influence or creamy influence for German, murder mystery films. It has creamy, yeah, Krimi, creamy, which would be the German equivalent of like the giallo, based on creamy novels from Germany. This has kind of adds that element to the American slasher, and you kind of get a hybrid of it. Because you definitely get a lot more of the detective element at play here, because the film really focuses on a few different characters. And that's also why I'm kind of saying the movie sometimes does not know where it wants to land on that spectrum. Like at the beginning, we see the film kind of focus on Cliff and his girlfriend Kate, Kate's father has been murdered in that beginning sequence at a Christmas party. He was a Santa Claus wearing a Santa suit, and he gets murdered by a guy who just basically like stabs him in the back of the head, and it comes right out his mouth. And then the film kind of focuses on Kate's the investigation into this murder to figure out who did it. And so Kate is kind of involved in that investigation, but at the same time, it brings in this Detective Powell and Chief Inspector Harris from Scotland Yard to also lead this investigation. And the film kind of trades off between the two. So sometimes it's about the investigation. Sometimes it's about Kate trying to like figure out what's going on her own with her boyfriend. And then sometimes it has these sequences of explicit violence, often like kind of representing the seedier side of London at times. With peep shows and kind of like 42nd Street of New York City. It kind of has that same idea of like the London Square of kind of showcasing like, because in London, it had a very similar idea as 42nd Street in certain areas of London at that time, which were, they did have like these, you know, prostitution rings, peep shows, more of a seedier underbelly there. So I think Don't Open Till Christmas explores that to an interesting degree. But again, like I said, it kind of, I feel like it doesn't necessarily always know where to land on that spectrum. What did you think about, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's, I don't think it's saying anything with the seediness. I think it's just seedy for the sake of being seedy.
Yeah. It's like a grindhousey type.
Yeah, it's just titillating for the sake of being titillating. The whole, like, peep show booth thing was hilarious to me. Like, you know, this is what you used to have to do, kids, before internet pornography.
Yeah, you go
down to a booth and get on the phone with somebody and be like, oh, I want you to sit on my lap. Sit on Santa's lap. It's, you know, really creepy seeing as man's like 50 years old and this girl's like 18, you know.
And dressed as Santa, by the way. It's like he just got done at a department store. It's like, you know what I need to do? These kids have been sitting on my lap. You know what I need to do?
He's got a raging boner. He's like, I can't keep being Santa if these kids keep, you know, sitting on my, you know,
yeah,
dick.
little strange, little peculiar.
You know, but that's the other thing too. In these movies, like, there's like these movies, there's always a billion like Santas. Like how many Macy's are in London to begin with? Like for Father Christmas, like to have like 200 people running around as Father Christmas as a job.
Right. Yeah. Like everybody's dressed as Santa down here for some reason. Like everybody's got a Santa suit on. Why would they need them all?
It's just ridiculous. It's like hilarious, but ridiculous. And they're all like, it's just like, this must have been like why Bad Santa exists. Like they're all Billy Bob Thornton. They're just fucking drunk and miserable and, you know. They
just pulled him off the street. They're like, you want to make a quick buck here for Christmas?
Yeah.
You're going to be Santa Claus in this department store. Don't you like too, when the Santa Claus suits always look so cheap in this movie? They have like a guy with this really, really fake beard that's like cotton balls sewn together. It just looks like a bunch of cotton or like a robe, cobweb. Like
a robe with, they just put like a white, you know, sash around it. Like, so you can walk around.
Red robe with a sash.
Yeah.
In a hood sometimes. Some of them have a hood sometimes. Is that a thing in like London and England? Do they have like, does Santa Claus wear a hood a lot more in that type of, in that culture?
Got, you know, smokers jacket on.
It was like a Hugh Hefner thing.
No, but they're also, you know, the rosy cheeks are more rosy because Kate's, you know, dad. They're like when he's dressed up and she's like, "Oh, you look like a gay queen."
Yeah, this movie has a little bit of a commentary about gays as well, doesn't it? Like, there's that one sequence where Cliff and his girlfriend Kate, they went over to his friend's house where he's shooting some, you know, softcore porn, and then Cliff comes out with this other girl Sharon, who's been shooting with his friend, and they're just like basically like kissing on the street, and then cops come. And his first thought is like, oh my God, they're going to think we're gay. Like, what? Why? Where?
Because Santa.
I know, that's his first thought, though. That's your... cops are running at you, and your first thought is they might think I'm gay? And that's like the biggest issue that you've got right now. You know, like that really stood out to me as like, wow, okay, you know. Like there's a couple different things that might run through my head. They might think, hey, prostitution. They might think, hey, I'm trying to kill this Santa Claus. They might think, hey, you know, we're in trouble for, you know, the killings of the Santa murders. But no, his first thought is they might think we're gay. So those are the priorities of the 80s in London.
All I can think of with that is like the Futurama bit with Zap Brannigan where Leela's dressed up to be like a male soldier, and at the end it's revealed that it's Leela, not some guy named Private Lemon, and Zap Brannigan's like, Private Lemon is Leela? Oh, thank God. For a minute I thought I was gay.
Yep.
Because that's what he was thinking. He's like, oh, it's Santa Claus, but Santa Claus's tits are out. I think going forward, we should refer to Cliff as who he really is, Paul McCartney.
Yeah, right. I know.
Getting ready to make a wonderful Christmas, you know.
Simply heaven. I know he does. He does look a lot like Paul McCartney.
Just walking around the streets of London, be like,
I mean, it wouldn't be out of the ordinary in this movie because this movie also has Caroline Munro singing "I'm the Warrior of Love." As a stage performance in here, which is very strange for a lot of reasons. Caroline Munro, not really known that well as a singer, more of an actress, but also why? Why is it in this movie to begin with? I would say the song though is a bop. What's
disco doing in 1984 with the frickin' like keyboard sounding like Sega Genesis.
It really did. Yeah, it's
like
got...
like you're booting up Golden Axe or something.
I think the song's kind of catchy though, to be honest with you. Caroline Munro too, in that like shiny sequined dress. Yeah, it's great. It's weird. It's weird inclusion in this movie, but it's great. Yeah, so basically, like I was saying, the film has that the double element of it where we're focusing on the investigation. We're also focusing on Kate. What do you think's more interesting? Do you think the investigation is interesting here? In terms of like, you know, like what you would think of from a giallo or
no.
No.
I
really like though that in this movie they did a really good job of making Scotland Yard look extremely bad. Like, just horrible at figuring anything out.
They're all a bunch of incompetent...
They're so bumbling in this.
And Edmund Purdom doesn't even do anything except like, the chief's on my ass again. the chief's on my ass again. We need to figure this out. Do you know what he tried telling me to do? He tried telling me to do my job. And I said, whoa, I'm not going to do my job. Like, you know, Sergeant Powell, Mark Jones, like, he's the most, like, credible of the bunch.
I guess, yeah.
But, I mean, still, they're all a bunch of, like, bumbling idiots.
I mean, they're just really bad.
They're just not really... I think Powell's the only one that's got any sort of charisma.
Mm-hmm.
I think, you know, the fact that poor Edmund Purdom's a charisma vacuum doesn't help, you know, much.
I like the fact that like Powell calls in this one woman. She was working the booth when a Santa was murdered, and he's like, you're trying to tell me that you sat right there in the booth while a man was murdered, and you can't tell me a single thing about the killer. And she's like, he was wearing a fucking mask. Like, what do you want me to say? I couldn't see his face.
She said the same thing Sharon said afterwards. He had
a smile.
His eyes, he had smiling eyes.
There was a smile there. Yeah,
what does that even mean? Smiling eyes? Like
smiling eyes. Like, you could tell when they're kind of like squinty because they're smiling. Like, I don't know. I just like that Powell is really bad at like the questioning because it's like this questioning's going nowhere. He's not getting anything out of the witness because he's not asking the right questions. The movie does a really good job of making Scotland Yard look horrible. Not only because the detectives are really bad at their job in general of like doing any sort of investigation, which they generally don't. Like even Kate does more of an investigation when she's like, do you know that like even your chief inspector, he's changed his name. Like he doesn't exist. Like when I look him up, no one can find this guy. So
what do you mean? What do you mean?
And Powell's like, I don't think the records of birth and death are going to get this done. And like, dude, you don't have anything to go on. Like, at least she has something. It makes them look really bad. But not only that, the fact that they put all of these decoy Santas on the street and then the decoy cop Santas are just like dispatched with ease is pretty hilarious too, because there's the whole scene where they've got a couple of guys dressed up as Santa Claus. They're just kind of standing around like hoping to be bait, basically, to get this killer to come out from the shadows. And he does, and he just murders them easily. And just like, that was a piece of cake. Like, Scotland Yard police don't even put up a fight whatsoever. Where's their billy clubs, right? Like, every time I see Scotland Yard people represented in media, they got billy clubs. Where's your billy clubs? Gotta put this guy down. But, yeah, I like the fact that, like, this makes, in Black Christmas, John Saxon, his character would have come in here and solved this instantly. There wouldn't even have been...
Wouldn't even stood a chance.
That's right. There wouldn't have been an investigation. The minute Yeah. Go
I was going to say, you mean to tell me nobody could figure out, besides Kate, that, the inspector's visiting the local sanitarium to visit, somebody? Nobody knew that he's going down to the sanitarium to see his crazy brother.
Well, not only that, or like that even the crazy brother makes an appearance in Powell's office. And Powell's just like, I don't know who this guy is, but like he says he's a reporter, so...
Well, no, because then he calls the Daily Mail and he says like, you're not a reporter there. And he's like, yeah.
yeah. He like walks around with a paper with his name in it. He's like, there it is. My name's right there in the paper. Look at that. I wrote this.
And not only that, though, too, because he's like the whole like temptation of like him being like, do you want to help solve this on your own and get promoted? And I'll give you information if you help, for that. But Powell doesn't seem like he's interested at all in getting promoted. He sees the inspector coming down being like, I'm miserable. I keep getting my ass reamed out. And he's like, I'm fine being a snitch.
Right.
So that whole point is like totally moot. It doesn't even go anywhere. Like, it's just stupid.
Yeah, like I said, it does seem like this movie has a lot of like unfinished areas to it that, maybe were supposed to be more fleshed out, but weren't. I would say that one of the biggest issues with this movie is the killer is actually the killer itself. Like the motive, the reasoning behind it is all left to the end of the movie where it's like crammed in. It's just like, we forgot to like let you know about this stuff. So like, here you go. just let's shove it down your throat that this is the reason why. What do you think about that? Like, how did you feel like throughout the movie is the killer and his, first of all, do you know who the killer is before you get to the reveal? And secondly, how do you feel about the motive?
Yes, because it's the one that's literally walking around me, like fucking not Tim Burton, like, shit, why am I, Tim Curry being like, yes, I'm creepy, Giles, so that's not hard to figure out. The motive, all I could think was like, they just took Silent Night, Deadly Night?
Yeah, either that or
but instead of a roadside rape and murder, it's at home. The dad was, fucking his father was fucking the teen girl that was over. Very awkwardly positioned while wearing the Santa suit, and he sees, and she knocks. They knock the mom down the stairs, and she dies. And
Christmas Evil has that opening too. Very similarly, of the boy coming down and he sees like Santa and his mom having sex or making out or whatever. And that's when he begins to like get this obsession with Santa Claus and with Christmas. the same idea is it's like at play here in Don't Open Till Christmas. You have like, again, like that repressed memory of mom and dad during Christmas time, and mom is killed. And the funny thing too that I think about this movie that I keep coming back to is like the fact that like no one checked into the background of any of these people where it was like, oh yeah, this happened to these people.
Nobody was like, oh man, the inspector's gone through a lot in the 40 years of his life or whatever, No, oh yeah, I remember 1948 or whatever the hell,
Yeah, right. Like just because he changed his name, I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm misrepresenting the time period where it's harder to track people, but it just seems unrealistic to think like no one would know about this event in their past. But
not only that, what are you doing? What are we doing at the family gathering? Being dressed up as Santa and just being like in the like in your tiny little house in the room where somebody can hear, Santa, like
couldn't even Christmas Eve couldn't even one night just be like, you know what? I don't think I'll partake tonight.
That's what I love about these movies too. Is like everyone is like just they got like just jizz up to their eyeballs, like
just so sex crazed.
It's like they're just waiting. It's been 20 years, like they're fucking Robin Williams coming out of Jumanji. Like it's been 18 years.
Yeah, I think the motive, like especially saved toward the very end there when Inspector Harris has the dream, is very crammed into this movie. It doesn't do a whole lot for the movie, and I think part of the problem, again, as we talk about with some of the other giallo films or some of the other slasher movies, is that the reveal and the actual killer itself is very underwhelming. And that it's pretty expected that this weird dude who's been running around being weird the whole movie is probably the guy who's the weird dude killing people. And then not only that, to have the motive be so tangentially related as like he's obsessed with killing Christmas because of this thing that happened in his past.
It's because it's so rote at this point, because we've done a couple of these movies now. So the fact that it's literally like, it's the same, same shit as the other ones. It's like,
yeah, it's just
you can't care because it's like, this is the same shit as always.
Do you feel like that? That issue with the killer and the motive detracts from the overall movie?
No, because it's right at the end. So I mean, by that point, it's you obviously know because he's targeting nothing but Santas throughout, that there's going to be some trauma associated with Christmas and probably Santa. Maybe it's the kid from A Christmas Story. They got pushed down the slide, that's what he's doing. Like, I'm going to get my revenge on, So that's coming. The fact that, like I said, I don't have a problem with the explanation itself because it's fine enough. But again, because at this time, it's so, we've already been there a billion times in this small window of this niche genre of Christmas slashers. Yeah, like I said, I don't think it detracts because it's like, you didn't try, so who gives a shit?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think like there's enough other elements to this movie that kind of warrants watching it, despite the fact that might be a little bit, not as interesting to, end on. Like, especially because, and we haven't talked about this, but like the actual killings, the slashings in this movie are actually, they're fairly violent for a early 80s slasher movie. Like this is kind of getting into the later version of the slasher films, like Friday 13th franchise of the later 80s in terms of the visceralness of the killings, because it is actually kind of gory in the way that it presents a lot of these murders. What do you think about the killings?
Some of them, Jesus, sorry. Some of them I like a lot. I like the Dirty Harry one where he just walks up with a 44 Magnum and shoots the guy straight in the head. That was hilarious. The poor fella getting his, Johnston cut off in the middle of, peeing in a urinal. That was uncalled for. Yeah,
that Willie just came as
the chestnuts roasting on an open fire and burns the guy's face. There's some creativity here in the the blood looks like shit. Looks like they just take buckets of paint and just throwing it. But I think the kills are fun enough. I don't really care for like the giallo-ness of it at times, like of pulling out like a razor. Because, he's not wearing the gloves, so... And they're not in Italy, so it doesn't count. But... I think the kills, they're not super, super creative, but I think they're done in an exploitative enough way to where it's entertaining.
Yeah, I enjoyed them quite a bit. I actually enjoy the visceral, ridiculously over dramatic blood. I think that it works...
It's hilarious, like the whole, like, with the peep show booth and, like, the blood getting, like it's like a cum shot, basically. all over the window, like, instead of, jizz, it's blood,
I think the overly bright red blood is just sort of a thing of the time, and it kind of just reminds me of, like, the gritty grindhouse-ness of this movie in general. Like, this movie is very, low budget, gritty. It shot on poor quality film. It's just overall looks very dingy, and I think that kind of adds to the experience and the aesthetic of it a little bit. I think the London atmosphere too kind of gives it this really interesting mood that like it just has a different feel in terms of like Christmas elements too. That I don't think we get from some of like the American horror movies of the time. I think like that the whole element of Christmas here is sort of changed up a little bit, like a nice change up from what we normally see. One thing that I thought was really funny is like when you go to Kate's apartment and she has the garland just like randomly like Jackson Pollocked up on the wall. Like there's just like a piece of garland here and a piece of garland there. And like, what are you doing? Like, I thought that was pretty funny. Like, I don't know if other people do that. Like, don't put the garland up in like a nice, like a nice, like around the door frame, but like just, I'm going to stick a whole line of garland on the wall. I found it pretty funny. And we haven't even talked about the film's like crazy ending, which is when we were talking about a little bit where Inspector Harris has this dream about, his previous Christmas with his brother. And then he wakes up and he sees that he has a gift that we've seen in the beginning of the movie where a guy riding on a bicycle and it says, "Don't open till Christmas." And he has this gift and he's like, you know what? I think I'm going to open it. And he opens it, sets it down, and he's like, "Oh, a nice music box." And then it fucking blows up on him. Blows his face off, half of his face off.
It's Gus Fring.
Yeah.
He gets Gus Fringed.
I think it's funny because nothing in this movie so far has really gave the inclination that like this guy's gonna plant a bomb too. Like it's a...
Do you think Dennis Hopper was showing him what to do and say like, "Pop quiz hot shot"?
Pop quiz hot shot. Did you open this before Christmas? I think I like the ending of the movie. It's very abrupt. It's very just like, yep, here we go.
Roll credits. As the guy's face is getting blown off,
yep. You see his like half of his face is like cooked, and then credits roll. That's it. And not only that, but before that, there's the whole pursuit with the girl that the guy brought home from the booth, and because he knows that she's seen his face, and he's basically chasing after her and falls down the stairwell. And there's that great shot of the dummy falling and then slamming into the ground.
He's like the ghost of Christmas past running around with those chains whipping around.
Yeah.
See,
It's London. It's sticking.
I love that. I love that dummy falling from the stairwell. It's great. So overall, wild experience, I think. What about, how do you feel about we talked about it a little bit too, like this killer is kind of unique and creative in the way that he kills. How about the fucking switchblade shoe that he's got on? There's that one scene where there's a guy walking and he comes across the killer and the killer whips out a switchblade in his shoe and then kicks him in the groin and just like kicks him with his switchblade shoe and kills him.
See, he learned that from Rosa Klebb from Russia with Love, because that's at the end of the movie. That's how she tries taking down James Bond with the knife in her boot. And hopping around on her foot like, I'm gonna get you.
I wish I had a switchblade shoe like that. It feels like it would come in handier than you think, handier than you expect it would. Like, just whip it out one time and, like, even so, like just, let's just say like somebody has a cardboard box they can't get open. It's like taped up really good. Anybody help me out with this? Anybody got a pocket knife? No, I've got a switchblade shoe. Hold on a second. Let me cut it open for you. Speaking of switchblades, speaking of pocket knives, remember that kid and, when the killer gets the pocket knife for Christmas and the flashback sequence in the dream, and he just starts stabbing people, like he just like starts making the motion of stabbing with the switchblade.
Who gives a kid a fucking pocket knife for Christmas?
He actually seemed more interested in the corkscrew.
I don't know. I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. He's gonna go around. And it was like an accidental wine bottle, like opening. Like, no, I stabbed Bob in the neck instead of getting the cork out of the champagne. But it wasn't that.
Nope. Anything else that we didn't talk about for Don't Open Till Christmas?
I think that's about it.
That's about it. All right. So let's give Don't Open Till Christmas a rating. So on a scale of 0 to 10, not able to outbike toughs on the street with your bike. Those aren't toughs.
Those are punks.
Those are punks. When they stole that drunk Santa's bicycle.
True British punks.
Yeah, don't you think you could outbike some people just running in the street though?
You'd think.
Right? Like
the plot said otherwise.
And not only that, but the guy, even though they just steal his bike and they go away, the guy's still determined. He's like, I'm going to jump off this overpass, like, for some reason. But
yeah, I was wondering what the hell is going on.
They're just like keeps climbing down.
I'm like, did I miss this scene? Like, why the hell is he like, it just keeps going,
trying to climb down an overpass or something? Yeah, no, but all right. So on a scale of 0 to 10. Punks stealing your bicycle after you've had a nice couple of drinks at the bar.
I was gonna say, even though they're punks, I do like that you call them
toughs.
I'll give it a 4.5 out of 10. It's not that bad. Even though the rating would seem otherwise, I did have a good enjoyment of the film because of the exploitative nature of the film and how grindhousey and grimy it is. The film isn't super poorly made. I think the gore is fun. I think the kills, some of them are dumb, some of them are fun. I think that's the hook. I think compared to the other films that we've done of this genre, I think there's more here to be enjoyed. However, I think, though, the story itself is stupid. The story itself is bad. The police investigation is pedantic. If it was just a reel of Santa's getting knocked off, I think it'd be a lot more enjoyable and fun. Everyone does a fine enough job acting because these are all Shakespearean actors in this film. So, they do what they can for the most part. But yeah, I guess like a 4.5, maybe 5 out of 10. Probably 5 out of 10. Like, I liked it. I thought it was fun enough. I don't think it's a bad film. Like, I don't think it's awful, but I'd say if you're somebody who likes, the ghoulish and gore, watch it, and you'll probably move on and not really think of it too much outside of a few funny lines that are there. So yeah, 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I've always had kind of a soft spot for this movie since I've seen it. I would probably give it a 6 out of 10. I do think that it has some interesting elements to it. Like I said, I think the English Christmas that it brings, the atmosphere is like different enough from movies of this time period where I find it kind of interesting for an atmosphere. I like the element of this is not a Santa killing people. This is a person killing Santa Clauses. I think that, like, you know, in terms of not trying to do the same thing as other slasher movies of this era, it's a nice little change up. And I like the fact that it melds sort of the American slasher with the more giallo, creamy-esque elements of those types of genres. So I like all of those elements to it. I do think that the movie itself, though, can be kind of weak. It can be kind of slow. It's, you know, here and there broken up by some really nice gore, violent killings. But other than that, like, it does progress pretty slowly. It also, you know, doesn't really know where to land on how it wants to progress the film with the storyline. Does it want to have like the investigation? Does it want to be more of like with the citizenry of the film? It's not really clear where it wants to fall. And I think that some production issues and maybe some script writing just kind of marred what could have been a better storyline. So I think, you know, all of those things together make it a mediocre film, but it's still worthwhile to watch for the Christmas season, especially if you want something different from the Silent Night, Deadly Nights, or Black Christmases that you normally watch for the Christmas season. Don't Open Till Christmas, I think, it has enough going for it where it's good enough that you can watch for a Christmas season. It's not something that I would revisit like year to year. I don't need to watch this every single Christmas, but I do think it's nice to like throw it in every now and then as like an alternative to what you'd normally watch. So, all right. So that's our horror part of the Festivus series. And I think next week may be our last of the Christmas Festivuses because we're running out of time here before Christmas. I don't think, unless we can get in a very quick episode that we can record prior to Christmas. Christmas actually falls on a
record day.
Yeah, on a record day. So I don't know that we'll be able to get to a 4th episode, but we definitely will have one for you again next week. And this one is going to be another classic film, a nostalgic film for us. One that we tend to watch every year, and we even have a drinking game for it. So, should be a fun time.
Horribly surprised we haven't done it yet.
I really am. I'm so surprised that I've looked 2 or 3 times just to make sure.
Because I could have swore we did it.
I know. I've looked a lot.
I think maybe that's why we haven't done it. Because like, oh, we had to have done that, right? We had to.
Right. Yeah, I've looked a couple times now. I've used podcast engines where you can actually search all the episodes, and I still have not been able to find it. So I'm hoping we haven't done it. If we have done it, then it's just we're just a return to it. So it's fine. It's okay. It's okay. So it's going to be fun. We'll have a fun time. So you'll definitely want to tune in for our next week's episode of the Festivus series. And to make sure that you know about the episode, you should subscribe to us on pretty much any podcast app that you can think of. We're on them. Subscribe, leave us a nice review. That always helps us out. We are also on Facebook and Blue Sky, so you can like and follow us on there. You can also write to us at our email at bloodandblackrumpodcast@gmail.com. I actually just saw that we got an email from like March 2024 because I'm really bad at checking those emails, and they were asking about our cats and dogs episode, which to me was mind-blowing because I barely even remember cats and dogs. But we do check it from time to time, so write to us. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, any questions or things that you want us to share on the show, and we'll definitely try to do that. And you can also donate to us on our Patreon or Spotify pages. Anything you donate goes back towards beer, so we appreciate that in advance. We want to thank you for listening. Hope you're enjoying your holiday season, and hope you come back next time for our episode of Festivus Series next week. So, until then,
take care.